Yeah, looks like it's coming.
The whole BIOS reset mess, disable virtualization.
Oh no.
Why is that disabled by default on anything? Don't get.
I don't know. But we are live on Twitch and YouTube. So welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a bright and early Monday morning, and all of us being on the East Coast, we're still alive and not underwater, except for Michael. Michael might be underwater. We're not quite sure. He's fairly vague about details like that. But
He could just be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Where would you go? Go to a safe place.
Safe place. Yeah, that's exactly what he told us. But yeah, so we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. And if you have any of those at any time during the show, always feel free to jump over to foolishcheckshow.com. And we have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat, which you can see right down below us here. And we'll be more than happy to talk to you directly. But since Monday mornings are usually a bit slow in the chat realm, we've been focusing on certain topics, and we were going to have Michael do an update on the land turtle, and they have a new module for snagging creds that's supposed to be a little bit better, but he's underwater, so can't do that. But I was able to come up with something last night and did a few things, so we're going to go over talking about cracking WPA2 passwords, and it's honestly going to show you how much harder it is to crack a WPA2 unless you know your target really well. So we're going to do that using the Wi-Fi Pineapple, and then Crunch and cowpatty. So a couple different things there we can go over. Yeah, I thought you would like that name. Let me make sure I have my chat up here. But the first thing, if you want to be able to do these things, you should spend some time researching and understanding what you're trying to break into. And I know we've mentioned before that WPA and WPA2 is a little bit nicer than WEP because it takes your SSID and hashes it with your password, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to crack, and that kind of will play into part where we get into the putty or the cowpatty stuff. But essentially, if you're changing your Wi-Fi password, highly recommend you go ahead and change your SSID at the same time. It does a couple of good things. First, it'll make it much more difficult for someone if they've been building this attack and trying to target and break into your Wi-Fi. They'll have to restart all over again, basically. So definitely, if you go through change your Wi-Fi password, change all your SSIDs, and it's actually not recommended to use a no broadcast SSID, because those are essentially a blank SSID, so that means your password isn't getting really salted with anything but a null, and that makes it so that there are rainbow tables pre-built for that kind of stuff, so that takes a little bit of the work out of it.
Wait, but you still have the SSID, even though you're not broadcasting it.
Most of the time when you turn the SSID off, you don't have that.
You turn it, you mean, but it's broadcast or not broadcast, it's still there. You still have to have it.
From what I was reading, it's like it's using a null.
Why would it do that?
I don't know.
You still have to create one. You still have to know it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure on that.
I'd like to look into some more, because I don't broadcast mine, just because I don't like seeing them all over the place, really.
Yeah.
I don't need to know them either, because I broadcast mine that are when I turn it on for guests and stuff, but the ones that all of my devices around the house just use, I don't you know, don't do that.
Yeah.
I guess I need to, if that's really the case.
I was kind of reading over quickly stuff, but from what I read, that just turning the broadcast off, basically like they have a way that it's the salt that it uses, they can build a list for it already. It's like a common SSID name kind of thing. And Rover says that it is broadcast, but it's hidden, and maybe that's part of it. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not quite positive on that, but I don't see why you would hide the broadcast, because it just makes it much more difficult for all your devices to get connected yourself.
Yeah.
He also mentioned something else I was going to bring up, that he's hacked some routers with the 8-pin key, and that you should always turn off. WPS was the worst thing that it's like they brought WEP back but made it even worse, just so you could try to connect your devices quicker. And essentially WPS is that option where you push a button on your router and then you push a button on your device and they just automatically connect. That automatically connecting is make it so much easier to break into your wireless router. They actually have I believe it's called the pixie dust attack, which you can do with the Wi-Fi Pineapple as well, that just essentially brute forces that 8-number pin, which is super easy to do. So
yeah, I've been disabling WPS for a long time. I don't know if it's gotten any better. But when it first came out, it wasn't even more convenient than just entering your password. It was less reliable. It wasn't very reliable anyway.
I don't know about the usage of it. Like I said, I disable it first off as well. So it is a huge security risk, though. Like the Pixie attack is almost instantaneous for you to break into a wireless router that has that. So definitely turn that off. And Rover says wired only router is better for security, and that is true. But what I'm going to show you here is how difficult WPA2 really does make it on your system. So
you know what I'd be interested in, just as a side note, is the LAN power adapters.
How they work, or
how to break in, you know, I mean, like having a LAN, you know, like plugging up in someone's outside power or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you have outside accessible power ports, that might be easy, because those don't even care if you're on a circuit or not, does it?
I was going to say, speaking of, you know, wired networks, Rover, but that's off topic already. So
that's not technically wired, I wouldn't say. That's like a pseudo wired.
Right.
Really. Oh. Yeah, I probably wouldn't trust the security of those either. Especially since I know probably all of our houses have outdoor power outlets.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, they do care a lot of times about what circuit you're on. I mean, you know, they just don't work for a lot of people because of that.
I was gonna say, if it doesn't care about circuits, then having the outside ones would be a worry. But usually your outside ones are on a different circuit from your inside ones.
Yeah.
Usually, but you can never really be for sure. I guess you can be for sure, but it's more difficult. So I posted a link in there that Tom's Hardware goes over how WPA and WPA2 is hashed and salted and transformed, and it's a pretty good security method. And WPA is actually not recommended anymore because there's a weakness in it that was found that they're able to break it pretty easily. I didn't look too much into the logistics of that, but that would be why you don't want to have mixed mode on. So you don't want to have WPA/WPA2. You want to have only WPA2 AES enabled.
Yeah, that TKIP thing, that's essentially WPA, right?
Yeah.
1, yeah. So that, I never have that on. It's always just AES.
Yeah, that TKIP, I think, is the one that has the serious vulnerability in it and makes it really easy to break into as well. Not as easy as WEP, but it is pretty easy. Comparatively to this WPA2 stuff that we're going to go over here. So the first part about it, though, is capturing a 4-way handshake. And essentially what happens when you're trying to connect to your wireless router is your wireless router is out there saying, hey, I'm here. Your device says, okay, you're there. Let me connect to you. And then the router is like, okay, well, this is half of the security key. Do you know the other half? And then you either put in your password, which gives it the other half, or you have your password saved, which has the other half, and it just sends it over. Apparently, though, there is some way to get the password without any devices being connected. You only need like part of the 4-way handshake. I didn't look too much into that side of it either, because essentially you end up with the same thing. And it's, if you have devices connecting to the wireless, which you almost always will, it's fairly quick and easy to get a 4-way handshake. So to start off, we're going to show off that part. And today I'm using the Wi-Fi Pineapple, and I'll share my screen if you're ready for that, Proctor. Make sure I pick out the right screen. I believe that's the one. Yep.
All right.
So I'll wait for it to show up on the stream just to make sure here. My Twitch is buffering. There we go. And my YouTube is buffering. All right, looks like it is showing up on the YouTube. So we'll go ahead with that. And yeah, you can pretty much see it all that you need to there. So what we have here is the Wi-Fi Pineapple. I've gone into the modules, and we're using the site survey module. And this will essentially let you pick out a interface, which the Wi-Fi Pineapples have too. So you got the WLAN 0, which I'm going to use for scanning for networks, and then the WLAN 1 MON, which is the WLAN 1 interface put into monitor mode. And you have the option to scan for access points only or access points and clients. I've gone ahead and scanned for just an access point, and since this MAC address is only tied to this network, I don't mind really showing it off that much. But you can see I have a test network set up here, and this is my network. And you can see actually I already captured a file as well. I believe you can see that. Yep. So you can see I already actually captured a WPA handshake, but I'm going to show you how I did that and how easy it is. Just make sure my phone is still connected to that. So I have one device that's connected to this test network here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn on capture. So now it's starting to capture using AeroDumpNG. And then next thing I want to do is I want to kick off the client that's on there. And then I'll stop kicking it off. You can see we got a capture file now. Once I see it's disconnected, which it's just disconnected me from that wireless, so we'll stop deauthing it. And bam, we already got a 4-way handshake right there. So just as easy as that, not even 30 seconds. All I would have noticed on my phone is that the Wi-Fi dropped off and then reconnected. So as long as you're not deauthing for too long, probably people won't even notice, honestly. So We can see we got our 4-way handshake here. That took less than, what, 5 seconds to get set up and done. So Rover says further security set via MAC address only. These computers can access the net.
I was about to. Yeah. What is the deal with that? I was told not to do that anymore.
Well, the issue is it doesn't really matter, because you can see, I can see the MAC address here. And actually, let's see if I can scan for the client. I don't really want to show off my phone's MAC address because that is hard to change. But essentially, if I scan for clients, I could see the MAC addresses of the clients that are connected, and I can spoof a MAC address super easily. So changing your MAC address is fairly easy. Changing your hardware MAC address forever is harder. But you can basically, when you scan a network, you'll see all the clients and their MAC addresses connected, and then you can just spoof that MAC address so it shows you as connected instead of them. So that using MAC address isn't really that big of a, it's not going to do really anything because those are all being shown. So now that we got this 4-way capture, we can do a couple of things with it. We can download it and then try to go crack it ourselves, which we're going to show off here, the steps of doing that. But I wanted to show off something else in the Wi-Fi Pineapple. They have an online hash crack, and you can actually just go ahead and submit that file to online hash crack, which is a online place that will crack hashes for you. Save my email address there. And we got both our capture files. We can just say that and then submit it. And then they'll try to break the password. The downside of that is usually you're going to end up paying. And that's what I got here is the online hash crack. It says it's free for passwords that are already in their database. So if it's already been cracked before, then it doesn't cost you anything and it's instantly shown to you. If the password is less than 8 characters, it's free and instantly shown to you. WPA and WPA2, I believe, both have a minimum of 8 characters. So it's going to cost you, it looks like $6 here for them to show your password if they can get it. And Office files are a different set they can do, and that would cost you $6 as well. So, yeah, and Rover, that's what I was saying. If you have it open and proper MAC addresses can access, people can see what MAC addresses are connecting, can see when that device isn't connected, and then spoof that MAC address and connect without even having to worry. So, and yeah, it would stop them from connecting, but what I'm saying is that you can find out what those MAC addresses are extremely easily. Anyway, the benefit of using this is you have a massive amount of computing power behind you. So that would be the benefit of that. And for $6 to get a Wi-Fi password that you're trying to get and not have to do what I'm going to show you you would have to do, it's actually a pretty good deal. But they tried to break the password for up to 5 days, I think, and they will only ask you to pay if they actually find the password. So that's kind of nice of them. But also really nice that it's built into the Wi-Fi Pineapple and you can just use it right there if you wanted to go that route. We are going to do it the hard way, which is the way you might prefer, because I really wouldn't want to submit a password to an online thing anyway. I'm not concerned about that test network because it's not a big deal. So the other way you can go about it is by doing this, and going to show my screen here. I'm not actually going to be able to do it because it takes a long time. So what I have here is, this is my Linux laptop here, and it's been trying to create a wordlist dictionary, which is the first step you're going to want to take. And it's been trying to create a wordlist dictionary that has only lowercase numbers for only 8 characters. So 8 characters, every permutation of lowercase letters it's trying to compute. And this one in particular has been running for about an hour and a half now, and it's only gotten 5% of it computed. So it would take quite a long time to finish making this word list. So that's one time thing that you have to take into consideration. And then once you have this word list, you would have to go back and use, I believe it's called genpmk, which I got a good link for that here. It is called genpmk, and this link shows you how to do it. And yep, it would be 26 to the 8th power, as Rover said there. And this YouTube video also shows you how to generate the hash rainbow table for it as well. And essentially what the genpmk will do is it'll take this dictionary file that we're creating here, and we'll pre-computate all of the hashes and everything you need, and have that ready for cowpatty to use and crack the password really quickly. And if you watch that video, he kind of shows it off there. Again, I did not realize it was going to take this long just to make the word list, but I did find out some interesting things about these word lists. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this one and show that stuff off. Let's see if I can make this text a little bit bigger here. Not like that. And not like that. I guess we'll just zoom in. All right, so I'll show you the command I use for just doing the 8-character one. So what this is doing is telling Crunch to run, start off with a minimum of 8 characters, end with a maximum of 8 characters. It's using the char list, which you can see what that is here. Let's see if we can zoom in on that as well. So essentially that's just a list of the various characters you can use. And right now we're just trying to use the lowercase ones. You can see you have lowercase space, lowercase number, mixed alpha space, numbers, characters, symbols, whole 9 yards. But I'll show you what happens when you run this one. It goes ahead and tells you how big that file is going to be. So for just lowercase numbers, we're looking at 1 terabyte. If we want to go to a higher set, let's do mixed alpha, which is going to give us upper and lowercase numbers. Mixed alpha. That's going to take 437 terabytes just to generate that dictionary file. If you wanted to do all of them, it's going to be think just dash all here. Yeah, dash all dash space. So we'll do dash all dash space. Is that not how I spell it? Oh, mix alphanumeric all space. So let's just show off the numeric before we go to the all space stuff. That's going to take 1 petabyte or 1,700 terabytes. So then your final one you would probably want to try would be all dash space. And that's going to give you all the characters you could have. And you're looking at 53 petabytes. And still only 8 characters long. So that's trying to use the entire character set for just 8 characters, the minimum password you could have for WPA, WPA2. So all of those characters would end up taking 53 petabytes just for the dictionary file. You're still going to have to computate the hashes for that. So basically at 8 characters, if you're using letters, uppercase and lowercase, numbers, symbols, and spaces, you pretty much got someone maxed out there with what they're going to be able to crack at home. This is when you would need a supercomputer network or something like a bunch of Amazon Prime style networks, or you'd basically need a lot of computing power and a lot of space behind it. And that's, again, just 8 characters. If you go to 9 characters, this will be all worthless, and they'd have to make one that's almost twice that size. Let's see what happens when we do 9 characters. Oh, it's so hard that I have to go one letter at a time. It won't do continuous. So if we go to 9 characters with all the stuff, 5,000 petabytes, 5,600 petabytes. I don't even have a petabyte in my computer, so 5,600 of them, I don't think many people have at all. So that's pretty good security stuff there. But a lot of people are going to use just 8-character passwords for their, because that's what they have to enter for their Wi-Fi passwords. So if you do that, and majority of people aren't going to use much more than lowercase and numbers probably. So let's see what the lowercase and numbers would be for just 8 characters. So just 8 characters using lowercase and numbers, 23 terabytes. Honestly, that's doable. That's very reasonable. People could easily do that, and that would kind of take it over. Now, it also does some other things. Plug in 64 as an upper. Yeah, let's see what that will do for the all. But while I have to one by one go back here, I want to also say that this also has some other features where you can do patterns. So you can insert patterns that you want to have, and that is probably where it gets a little bit scarier, because a lot of your internet companies have gone to where they give you a big long password, and they don't have the same SSID. randomly generate those for each one. So that one, that's not that bad for all of them. It's only 5,600 petabytes still. What was that other one for? 8 to 9? I don't know if that's right, because that's telling me the same amount for that. So, is it the same exact amount? Yeah, it is. I don't know why it's only telling me that. Maybe it won't do 64 character bytes. Yeah, maybe it's impossible to do that with this. But anyway, you could do patterns, and if a company is giving out a password, you could probably look on the back of somebody else's modem and figure out what their password style is, and then you could generate a pattern just for that matching. I believe my parents use one that has all uppercase numbers and letters, and it's a certain length long. So more than likely, all of them are going to be uppercase letters and numbers and that certain length long. So you could generate one that has those in it and be fairly easy off. You saw that having the lowercase and the numbers didn't end up coming out as that bad there. So Rover, it looks like you'd be looking at 6,400 petabytes to generate a dictionary file for that, and then again, you still have to generate the hash tables from it. But let's look at I think my mom's password stuff is like 16 characters. So let's see how many that would be with just alphanumeric. So 16 and 16. So 256 petabytes. So that is a little bit outside the range probably. But if you look at a couple of them and you notice that they're letter, letter, number, letter, 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 number, 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 letter, number, and you figure out a pattern between those, that will cut that set down quite a bit. So that's very scary there. Basically, all this is going to change your default wireless password, even if you're one that the cable company gives you looks like it's decent, or one that comes with the wireless hardware looks like it's decent. It's not. So definitely change that. Since this is salting, you want to have special characters in your SSID. Wouldn't be a bad thing. We can look more into the broadcasting thing. It makes sense what you were saying, Nick, that if it's not broadcasting, it's still there, would still be salting it, and they wouldn't be able to know exactly what the characters are for that. So that should take out the being able to create a rainbow table for it. But I swear I read something where they were able to generate a list with it having it not broadcast, but I didn't make a detailed note of it.
I only do it because I have four. I always have like 3 or 4 SSIDs rolling at my house, and I don't like confusing guests, and I don't like confusing the kids. Everything is already set up for them. You know, so I don't want to see all that. Like, this is this kid's wireless network for this age group. Yeah, I do that. And I have 2 different wireless networks for kids, one for guests and one for everything that's part of the home.
Here, we can stop sharing my screen, Proctor.
So it's just a lot to, I don't know, I just don't like it.
Well, and see, I have 6 networks set up here, and they're used for different things.
Yeah, mine are like, I have different like bandwidth restrictions on the kids' networks and things like that, because I don't want their devices hogging my time.
your space there. Yeah, so
your home network is more complicated than some business networks.
Yeah. Mine is too there.
Yeah.
But the reason I have them broadcasting is because I don't care, because I'm going to end up changing my SSID just as often as I change the password, and it's so much easier to pick it out of the list than it is to have to type that in as well as type in the password. So,
and I got them on different VLANs, so I get a virus on their little junk. It's not going to bother anyone else, hopefully.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. But that's a whole different special day topic, I believe, for setting up all that kind of stuff. I had looked into setting up VLAN stuff. I just couldn't wrap my head around it and didn't feel like doing it at the time.
It's fairly easy when you realize, I mean, like with the Ubiquity equipment that I have, it's pretty, I wouldn't say it's like the most intuitive, but I mean, you can figure it out pretty easy.
Why don't we have Beavis on one day to discuss VLANs?
That would be a good idea. He should know him pretty well.
Yeah.
He doesn't like coming on video.
Oh, really?
I told him he didn't have to, and then he said something other excuse.
Oh.
But I have searched around for wireless networks, and I still see a lot of Linksys or Default or Netgear routers out there that are still just sitting like that. And where that becomes scary is things like this, which this is the Church of WPA, I believe. No, Church of Wifi. And they have WPA lookup tables for the 1,000 most common SSIDs, and has passwords for all of those. So their 7 gig set has 172,000 passwords for each of the 1,000 SSIDs. Their 33 gig set has 1 million passwords for the 1,000 common SSIDs. So if you're using a common SSID, they pretty much got a password list out there that can be easily used to crack and generate. Like, I wouldn't have to generate anything for it. I'd already have the word list there. I could just generate the hashes, and then from there, capturing the handshake we saw took less than 5 seconds, and there's no way to defend against that. They're always going to end up getting that, which maybe that's why, Nick, I believe your SSID is broadcasted in that 4-way handshake. So if that's in there, then it's already being easily shown. I guess I can look at it here. Let's see if I can pull that back up.
Yeah, I just don't like looking at it without, I just don't like looking at all that mess when it's bad enough I got to see my neighbors.
Yeah. I can understand that, but I guess where I was going with is don't rely on it for security, because it's not going to help you.
Well, yeah, it wasn't if it's a security problem, then I definitely want to stop it. But if it's, I wasn't really relying on it for security so much as just having to look at that mess. People come over and then they'll ask me which one to connect to, and I'm like, did you really ask me if you wanted to connect to the kids network or the? I mean, no, I don't have your network enabled. That's why. Let me go upstairs and turn that on.
I'm trying to pull up a captured hash that I had before and see if it lists out the SSID there. I can't read all that, so either way, I believe I think it is included in there, so it would make sense it would be, because your device has to say, hey, is this the SSID, and connect to it. So don't rely on not broadcasting your SSID. Make sure you have a good lengthy password. Don't rely on MAC filtering, because those are easily seen by anyone that can see your wireless network. Rely on WPA2 with AES and a lengthy password of uppercase, lowercase, symbols, and spaces. I would say the spaces are probably actually your best bet, because few people would imagine that you would have those in there. The other side of it is, don't use things that people could target you as. As you can see, if someone's actually going after you and putting the work in, they've probably done their research otherwise and found out what your birthday is, what your kids' birthdays are, what your parents' birthdays are, what your favorite colors and dogs and things that you would use as your passwords are. So they probably have those ready. Don't use the same password that you use on your easily hacked email account. We've seen that Yahoo just had over 1 million subscribers hit with, or was it 3 million or billion? Like, Yahoo just had a major breach of their data set. So don't use the same password there. Use various passwords. And we talked about KeyPass earlier, that's on last week's show, I believe, or the week prior, where you can use those to manage your different sets of passwords. You can even store your Wi-Fi password in that. So definitely highly recommend that, and definitely try to make it as complicated as possible. On that point, I did want to throw out one thing here. I had to double check and make sure that no one had left their seats for that, Proctor. There was an interesting program I'd came across. I thought that this may be able to do the password generation on Windows, and it probably can, but I didn't look through really how to do it that much, since I knew Crunch could do it in Linux. This thing is called PWGen, and it's an open source Windows program which will generate passwords for you. Generate passphrases, passwords. Does a pretty secure job. From everything I saw in it, it looked pretty good, and I ran it, and it runs portable, so it all looked pretty good. But again, you're not going to use that to store it, but creating a difficult password with letters, numbers, special characters, spaces, upper and lowercase, all that stuff is a pretty good one. And Rover points out the one from I believe Steve Gibson there, his password generator. I think that's what that is. Yeah, perfect passwords. So yeah, that will generate random passwords for you as well. I kind of liked the password PWGen, because it had some options in there for creating passphrases and things like that. So passphrases are definitely far better, I feel. Like you saw with getting up in the character set, if you have 5 words that are 5 letters apiece and each have a space in there, you're still looking at a pretty massive data set to be able to hack in to crack that. So passphrases are still a pretty good option. And of course, all of this is going to change when quantum computers come out, because that's going to make it so that everyone can break into them so much faster and easier. So for right now, until quantum computers do come out and become mainstream where people can get their hands on them, you're pretty much fine doing a WPA2 with AES only, and having at the least 8 characters that are upper and lowercase, numbers, and symbols, and a spaces. That'll get you pretty much set against anybody, even if you only do the 8 character minimum. So That is that, I believe. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about or say or have experience with Wi-Fi cracking or stuff?
You mentioned not having familiar names or at birthdays, things like that, identifying information in your password. But did you mention not having your SSID set to something identifying?
That is an extremely good point too.
Especially if it's a business, I wouldn't have your SSID, your business name.
Yeah.
If someone's targeting your business, you don't want to advertise that that's your network.
Yeah. Although usually that's pretty easy to find out with just social engineering attacks.
True, but
or even just walking around. I mean, the signal strength of depending on close proximity to another business or whatever.
There's a module in the Wi-Fi Pineapple that shows you signal strength. So as you walk away from the building, it'll show that that one's getting lower. So it's still easy to find that one out. But I was thinking more of don't have your last name and your home address, because now I know who lives at that address exactly. And then I can target you that much easier. Like otherwise, you'd just be someone walking in and out of a house. But now I know you're the Lancasters that are living in this house specifically. So that's what I was saying. Don't use personal information in your SSID, which is a very good point. But the business side of it, I think it's a little bit easier because, I mean, someone walking out, you could probably even ask, hey, what was your Wi-Fi in there? And they'd be like, oh, it was blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. But the less information you give out easily, the better.
Yeah, that is true. Now, if everyone started doing random numbers and you were in a complex that had several different businesses in it, that would make it harder, but that would mean you'd have to convince all your neighbors not to use specific passwords.
Hard enough to convince one business to do something like that.
Yeah, so that makes it much more difficult. And that's where that VLAN stuff comes in, is doing the guest networks and things like that. And that's why I was going to set it up, is because I have all my wireless are not using the wireless router because I'm using an internet gateway. And since they're all access points, the separated networks that it's built in with don't actually separate from the network. So I would have to use VLANs if I wanted to have them separated. So Rover says his next project is remote software other than VNC, Show My PC, and he wants something freeware, open source. And yeah, you're not going to find much out there. If you do, let us know. But as Michael actually did a little bit of that a few weeks ago on doing a remote support software, and everything he found you had to pay for that was worth it. VNC is your only real free option out there, and that's not as worth it. You found a few, but were they commercially free? Because that's where the big kicker usually comes in, is being commercially free.
Yeah.
But he did say that Microsoft's Windows 10 one is actually supposed to be pretty nice. They made the remote assistance. They made that a lot better. He said he wasn't able to show it off at the time, but he said that was a lot nicer, and that is built into Windows 10. So there's an option for that. You just have to hope that everyone you're helping is on Windows 10. So, yeah, definitely let us know if you find out some good ones that do meet your requirements there. And like I said, the ones that are commercially free are probably the ones we're most interested in. Remote desktop fair. That's a weird name. That doesn't look like an actual remote desktop thing. Oh, maybe if you're just using remote desktop, you could do that. Yeah, that's the other side though, is there's actually been an increase on remote desktop attacks. So if you have a port open with remote desktop, a lot of people have been brute forcing those to easily get into them and then install ransomware that way. That was actually one of the common ransomware attacks, was to brute force Windows remote desktop. The only way to get around that is to have a VPN port open or SSH tunneling port open and tunneling your traffic through that and then connecting through remote desktop. Does not make it easy for doing remote software support style. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend having a remote desktop port open to the internet. You'd want to connect through VPN or SSH tunneling. I use SSH tunneling and it works great. I had done the VPN stuff, but VPN's a lot more maintenance than the SSH tunneling, so I just prefer that. Since I have the Raspberry Pi already set up, makes it really easy to do it that way. But all right, we got anything else? All good? All set? Think so. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. I know we started a little bit late and we're going to end a minute early here, but we had the hurricane throw us all off, so we're going to get back hard at work, and I'm going to be working on the crypto prevent stuff, so hopefully we'll see some updates coming out for that as well. We're implementing a new definition set that hopefully will be a lot more robust, and probably working a little bit more on the honeypot detection stuff, which if you haven't checked out our 2 videos, I'll go ahead and link the playlist we got for those, and hopefully I'll get some more added up to that one.
Yeah, man.
But we got 2 up there now, and I am liking it a lot. So check those out, and also download the beta and test it out and let us know what you think and how it goes, because we are getting close to release, we feel, and if you find any issues or want anything added, we better go ahead and get it in now. So here's that playlist for the ransomware videos that we've done and getting blocked with honeypot detection. And otherwise, I would say have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Take us on out, Proctor.